You're up, Commissioner.
All right, we're back on the record, and our first item is Board of Ambulance.
Mr. Chair, I make a motion that we enter into the Board of Ambulance.
Have a motion, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Ta-da!
Commissioners, this is just an extension of the naloxone leave behind grant that the ambulance was awarded for distribution of naloxone. It will extend the time and provide additional funding to expand or also look at those programs.
And I'm going to work with, I've got a meeting with the city in 2 weeks. We're going to work on a few issues of grants, and if this is the one that involves some labor, if I remember correctly, on their side. So we've got to work out a function of, are we going to pay the city and then they'll open the budget, or how is that going to work? Or will it be existing dollars that should reduce the contract, items like that? So, and I also, Ryan is going to come talk to you guys about deployments, which will play into kind of the same conversations. So I can either report back separately on just this, on how we're going to handle it, or when he comes to talk to you about deployments, we can fill this in also.
Okay.
So.
Okay.
Mr. Chair, I make a motion that we authorize signature on the grant as presented.
Have a motion, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
We did next.
You're right. And I would also make a motion that we exit the Board of Ambulance.
We have a motion, all in favor, say aye.
I did that so well this morning and just booted it this afternoon.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right, Ryan.
Okay. So, I believe I've talked to you in meetings before about our personnel policy, and I guess since, just as a little bit of a recap, as you know, ICRIMP provides a template, and they did a long time ago, and the county took the template, made some revisions to it for some of our unique benefits and components, and it was adopted, right? And that policy has served us well for a long time, and really we haven't made an amendment to it in the last 7 years. When I got here, I immediately kind of noticed there was a few outdated things, and upon inquiry, ICRIMP has updated their template a number of times during this last 7 years, and I guess there's nothing really super pressing that says we need to do this now, other than we waited. Why wait longer?
It's been 7 years.
It's been 7 years. There has been a few little things, like an ambulance district was trying to get a grant, and some of our language, like on disabilities or individuals with limited language proficiency, it's just updates like that will help with getting those type of grants and the process go smoother. The big change from this template from prior is the prior one has, some employees at will, attorneys, chief deputies, elected officials, temps, but this one has everybody at will. And so that's the biggest change. It has a number of other changes. I didn't get a chance to read it, but I guess I've said enough for the moment. Do you guys have any questions or specifics you'd like clarified?
I don't. It's been, like I said, it's been a while. We've been talking about this for a long time. And it's time to bring it up to date. It's a living document. It isn't a start once and 7 years later do it again. It's a
Well, Bobette had tried to update it, but could never get the entire board to agree to what she was trying to do at the time. So it wasn't for a lack of trying.
Well, I worked with her a few times.
Yeah. But I mean,
Anyway.
she had other drafts. It just, now we've got a board that will agreed to
No.
make this updated.
Like I say, it's gotta be a living document.
Yeah.
Things change and rotate and new things come about.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I do have a couple of things that I saw.
Okay.
But I didn't have a chance to talk to you personally.
That's
just 'cause
fine.
I didn't get to it until last night, and then today's been
Sure.
a little busy.
And there's actually one or two little things I was wanting to talk about it too, that I, you submit it and then a few things come up. Go ahead.
I just had, on page 29, where you talked about voluntary demotions, under section D. If somehow you could put in there pending internal equity. We don't always, normally for voluntary demotions, the person would start at minimum, but there could be scenarios where they may not. So I believe we have a situation where we have someone that worked in civil or admin records at the sheriff's office, and they moved to a different position, and then they went back to that position, and I believe they started higher than minimum, just simply because they already had knowledge and funding allowed.
Sure. And I think you did make a note on that earlier, and in my mind, I think we have this exceptional salary placement
Okay.
movement that I
That's
think would cover situations like that.
We've talked about that before.
Yeah.
And that sounded kind of familiar, but I couldn't remember for sure, so I
Okay.
just figured I'd err on the side of bringing it up, and then
Yeah.
if it's covered elsewhere, great.
Yeah. Yeah.
On page 31, under comp time, number 4, there's the last sentence that says, if repeated request to use comp time is denied, basically we'll pay it. I would prefer that sentence not be there, because there might be a department that doesn't have budget authority to pay comp time, and that was not in the prior policy. We can't pay it if there's no funds.
And I don't even remember why that sentence got put in
Okay.
there. So, yeah.
Cool, if you're good with that. I would just hate to have it in there and then somebody try to tell us we have to do it.
Good catch.
It's in your book, yeah.
The next page on 32, I only need clarification on, we're going to start granting 15 days of
Oh, yes.
paid leave for uniform, for military, basically. I'm assuming we're going to set up a reason code for that, so that and then who's going to track and make sure no more than 15 days are used a year? Because that's not payroll. Hour shifts, if you had somebody at Roden Bridge during the summer, it'd be 10-hour shifts, during the winter, it'd be 8-hour shifts, so we really can't put it in that way. But if we did a reason code like we do for family medical leave, then you can pull a report and it'll say how many days have been used. But that's really not a payroll function. You could ask the department to track it, but we would want to babysit that because some departments are better than others.
Yeah.
Well, I don't think it's gonna be a big deal, and I think department heads, if we're allowing people off for this, it shouldn't be that big. I mean, how many people do we have in the military?
I was aware of one last year.
But this would cover even when they go on drill.
Right, no,
So we've got one at Roden Bridge.
because when they go on drill, they usually take a Friday off, don't they? And then they have like a week during the summer,
So,
or 2 weeks potentially.
only sometimes do they need to go on a Friday. I would think that that's the exception, not the rule. Most of the time, your drill weekend is 6 a.m. on Saturday morning.
Right.
Unless there's some sort of travel that you need to do for that particular drill. But even at that, that travel outside of your area is
Are
pretty
you doing
pretty
a week
rare.
every summer, or is it?
And then it's
10 days?
2 weeks in the summer.
Okay, so that's, the
Yeah.
15 days
And-
covered that.
And the more common thing that happens with reserves and National Guard is that 2 weeks in the summer becomes 3. If you're
Right.
augmenting or teaching or doing anything with another group.
Right.
I think of all the years that I was in, I only did 2 weeks one time. And the other 5 years, it was 3 to 4 weeks in the summer.
Yeah, I was trying to think through my kids, and that's,
My daughter-in-law
That's
just
about right.
spent 6 weeks in Washington.
Yeah. So,
yeah.
And I think we've got a couple at the sheriff and jail.
I think so.
There's only, I mean, we're under 5.
Supervisors ought to be able to
It's
handle
a small
that.
amount.
Right, I just don't want to penalize our military people.
Yep, I agree.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
Okay, so we'll just set up a reason code. That works? Kinda
Works
like
for me,
FMLA?
yeah, I'll set up a process and procedure to,
Perfect.
okay.
That's easy.
Yeah, and this is new, right? This, currently, we don't have anything like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
On page 34, under number 4, it talks about upon separation from employment, unused vacation leave up to the maximum, we should put 240 hours, not of what's accrued, because you can accrue more than 240 hours, but you only get paid 240 hours.
yeah, which is in alignment with my issue on 36 about the payout for sick leave hours.
And I'll get to that in a sec, but
Yeah.
the other thing that needs
And why would you
changed
talk about that?
is we pay at the hourly rate, not daily rate, because we pay hours, not days on that. So just take off allowed accrual, put 240 hours, and then take off or daily, if you would.
Is this on number 2?
Number 4, page 34, number 4.
Yeah.
Oh, the or daily?
Yeah,
Yeah,
because we
yeah.
don't pay daily rates,
Yeah, yeah.
so. And then on bereavement, are we, and this is just clarification for payroll, are we going to allow bereavement for any funeral? So if it's my neighbor, I can use sick leave?
I had some discussions with, a number of discussions about with iGrimp and other people, and see, one of the advice I got from Tammy on this one in particular, because was limiting that and getting into the people's personal lives on that wasn't advisable to her. So you got sick leave, you got, let's say your best friend was as close as a sister to you, right? But, and she died, so I don't get vacation for that, but maybe my uncle that I've only seen once in my life, I do. And so you get into these weird situations where you're cutting hair, splitting hairs.
I don't have a problem this way,
Okay.
because we're not giving them time off.
That's right.
If we was giving them time off, then it would be mom, dad, sister, brother.
Right.
I mean, we would regulate specifics, but we're allowing them to use sick leave. They're paying the price to do it, so
Perfect.
that's the way I feel about that.
I just needed that clarification because we tend to get lots of questions.
Yeah.
So if it's, and that's,
They're having to use time to do it. It's
Yeah.
not free time.
And we ran into issues with that just this year. I'm aware of at least one.
you'll constantly run into it.
Yeah. So, yeah.
Okay, now you do your sick thing, because I have one, but yours might come.
Yeah, and this is one I wanted to talk about especially today as well. Because I kind of threw this sick leave thing out there based on kind of some thoughts I had, but go ahead.
Don't like it.
Okay.
Needs to be gone.
The payout entirely?
Yeah. Why is sick leave worth anything? And we just grandfather everybody back, and from this day forward, no more payouts.
So only existing employees would get it. If you're hired after a certain date.
If you're
you
hired,
wouldn't.
yeah, technically, if you're hired after today, no sick leave payout.
You wouldn't accumulate more.
You would not accumulate more.
Wouldn't accumulate more.
I mean, we need to cap at 720 is too much. It should probably be in line with our, well, I don't know, what is industry policy?
Well, if
on
you're not
sick
going to
pay?
pay it out, what's it matter?
Well,
Well, then that's what FMLA is for, if you're,
Say you've got an employee that has cancer, and they blow their 12 weeks,
right?
and then they're still not able to come back to work, we're going to term them and say, sorry, thanks for being a 40-year employee, but you're done.
But isn't that what FMLA is
in a
for?
situation like
Only
that,
12 weeks.
in a situation like that, job protection's for the first 12 weeks, and then that kicks off a ADA process where we evaluate it case by case. How much leave do you have? Are you likely to return? Is it going to need to go on to some kind of long-term disability? So, that's how we're set up. That's how it's,
Good question. I just worry if you, again, say 720 hours or whatever, then allow them to accrue beyond that, then, you know what? I'm sick for a year. I'm taking 365 days off because I'm sick.
Well, but we really haven't ever had that situation. People are pretty, I mean, if that was an abuse issue, then I would absolutely agree with you.
And I agree that people don't abuse their sick pay. I agree with that, but paying it out just, to me, is
Well,
insane.
that's not true.
In most situations.
We have hundreds of employees, and there are a handful that know how to use the system.
Because
And-
every minute they accrue, they use.
And every time they're sick, the FMLA bank refills, they
They use
because that is, it's 12 weeks per year, so you can do that every year, which some
Some people know how to do it.
Some people do.
When you look at the payout, I had payroll pull payouts. And in 2021, we had 8 people retire. It cost us $77,000. One employee was 41 of that. We had 55 separations, and that was $194,000. Part of that was because we had really a handful of employees up at the event center. So that played into that. In 2022, we have 5 retirements at $133,000. That was mostly sheriff and jail employees that had been here forever.
Banked it forever.
And then we had 47 separations that were $90,000. So the separations paid 20%, and of course, retirements paid 100%. We really don't have, in looking at the list of employees that could potentially retire, we do have some liability out there, but this list is nothing compared to what I'd had in the past.
Right.
We don't have the long-term employees that are really staying and banking a lot of time on the books.
Yeah.
So right now, it's less of an issue than it had been.
Well,
However you choose to address it, I don't agree with the 10-1 date because this isn't approved yet. Yeah.
Like November 1st or something, depending on when it gets approved.
Yeah.
But- And this is a tough one for me too. I mean, when we talked about it, a year and a half ago, when I reached out to all, our 720 hours is double some counties. Most are right around that 400-hour range, 400 to 500.
And is there a reason for 400 or 500 hours? Is that?
no, and I was looking too, and it's all over the place. There's a couple at 720, but very few like us. Yeah.
I think most are between that 400 and 500 range, and I just reached out on the clerks group to see how many hours your employees allowed to accrue, and those are the numbers that came back. And it's been a while since I've looked at that.
And IAC has a report every year
Right.
on that. You can see. It's
Well, the
tricky.
truth of the matter is, there is a liability to the county.
And
Whether they quit, retire, whatever, you still gotta have the monies available if they retire.
yeah,
And,
Or just leave.
Right.
yeah, so that's,
and we want to take care of them, but,
I think,
Well, that's what your vacation pays for, is taking care of them that way.
yeah.
the banking of hours has gotta come down, if nothing else. I mean, it has to come down.
Well, and the first, when I saw this, because I didn't know, sick leave, I've never been in a place where they paid out sick leave, and so I thought it was very generous. Shoot, I lost my train of thought. I do know that there are employees right now that are counting on it and have felt like it's been promised to them, so the ones that have it now, I would hesitate to take away. But for new employees, that we hire, when we do an orientation, no one tells HR, yeah, we came here because of the sick leave payout. And
Yeah.
no one even knows about it until we tell them.
And I'm not saying we take it away from the existing employees.
Yeah, yeah.
They've been doing that for too long to do that.
Yeah.
That's not right. But what I'm saying is, going forward, I don't think we should pay that out. And I would also cut that down to where Jason was talking in that 400 hours or something range.
How many weeks is that?
720, 9 weeks.
Well, that's only 9 weeks? My math is very bad then.
72.
My wife in the private sector has been at her same job, same employer for a little over 15 years, and she gets 3.5 weeks paid
Sick
vacation.
leave? Or
Of vacation.
Just paid, nothing else.
Paid time off, 3.5 weeks.
See, On used to have sick leave and all that, and they just went to PTO. And they wiped out. And you can only accrue, I don't know, you can carry over 40 hours or something. Other than that, if you don't use it, you lose it.
And my concern, and I remember what I'd forgotten, when an employee leaves with a large amount like that banked up, and the department tries to replace them, they have to wait for, before they can do that, and that can hurt, so.
And that depends on the department. Sometimes we anticipate it. The ones that we don't anticipate, yes, it does hurt.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But if you dropped it to 400, that'd be 5 weeks
Well,
of sick.
I even go back to Jason's comment and yours about the private sector. Our benefits are so good. Why do we even need this if we're...
Because we don't pay what private sector does.
I understand that, but the other things that we do to make up for that.
Yes, retirement.
Right.
And, yeah.
Well, this, to me,
It's just not the pay.
To me, this is a care that we can take away that doesn't really hurt too bad.
The sick part?
Yeah, just the sick
Just the
pay.
payout.
Well, the whole thing, give them some accrued sick leave.
No, and I think there's, tell me why the difference between sick and vacation? Why not just have PTO?
I like that.
Just so you can accrue up to 600 hours PTO.
And that all pays
Which-
out?
Would essentially be 400 hours of vacation or sick and 240 of vacation. But what would you do for payouts?
None. I would say it has no cash value.
Not even on vacation?
Vacation has to.
Yeah, vacation has to,
But
you're
if you
right.
change it all to PTO, it doesn't have to. But just remember the conversation, I'm being devil's advocate for a second. Remember the conversation with the department head elected officials not too long ago? We want to take care of our employees.
Yeah.
We want to be conscientious and have a work-life balance, be able to take time off and all of that stuff. And now you're having this conversation. So I'm just throwing that out there because this.
Well, I just got out of the health department. And they used to have a program in the health department where you could earn points to get an extra day off or 2 days off a year. And all the other commissioners are we're all for this, and I just spoke up and says, we pay people to work.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Sometimes you just have to come to work. It's plain and simple.
So, this is just a pretty complex and touchy issue.
It is.
I mean, I would be all right with lowering the total vacation down and keeping those split for
You're on vacation?
sick pay, yeah.
And
But it's a touchy subject, and that's a good reason to keep it separated, because I think that vacation time is time that they've earned and
Yep,
pay it out,
agreed.
but,
And the payout upon resignation for sick leave is only 20%, while the vacation leave is 100. So separating it that way with the current payout actually probably saves us some money too,
Well,
for the current employees.
I'm going to stand pretty firm on, I don't want to pay out sick pay anymore. Cut it down to 400 hours, leave them separate, and going forward, so the existing employees don't lose any benefit. I have no heartburn over that, but just going forward,
The new hire.
yeah.
What do you think, Ernie?
I don't have any problem with it.
It's a tough call. Been wrestling with it for a while.
We have it in the whole county, but it's time to,
Maybe we need to have a couple of different scenarios with different numbers and what costs would be at X, Y, and Z, whether it was 400, 500, 600 hours total. And maybe we go just PTO and we pay a certain amount out. Just some different on paper what it costs.
Do some math.
For that portion. Because
so 400 hours, you said was
that's 5 weeks.
10 weeks.
2 weeks, yes, sorry. I was doing 80-hour.
I'm just trying to do the math.
No,
No, I mean, 10 weeks is a long time.
That's a long
A little
time.
faster.
You know, I just trust you that much, I didn't do the math. Like you said, I'm going with it.
We're going for our 25th wedding anniversary next week. Annie is unpaid the entire time we're gone because she's used all of her 3.5 weeks. I don't have any heartburn about it. It's just,
Well, sick is going to be if you have a surgery, if you have something like that happen. It's just to try to help the employee that doesn't gain 4 hours and then get sick.
Yeah.
It's for those events where we appreciate you. Okay, you're going to have a surgery, you're going to be out 3-4 weeks. Okay, let's cover that. Call you a good employee, come back to work.
No problem with that.
400 hours is probably, now that the.
I'm looking at 320. I'm looking at 320, which is 2 months, 8 weeks.
Well, if
Well, I was
if
thinking
we're
12
vacation
weeks to
thing-
line up with FMLA. So that'd be 480.
Well, what if we left it equal to vacation, 240, and if it's gonna go beyond that, that's one of those special situations, we create a thing like an FMLA that the commission can grant. You know, we'll let you go for, use your FMLA, and then if it goes beyond that, then we'll come back and do something, or,
I just seen them
That's
out,
messy.
put us in that position.
Yeah, I think that's
Honestly,
messy.
we're gonna be dealing with people's personal lives in that situation, and
Yeah.
If you reduce the limit and then just don't do a payout, then worst case scenario, what you're dealing with is an employee being gone for an extended amount of time.
right?
So if you set it at, you said,
I said 320, which is 8 weeks, 2 months.
yeah,
I kind of like closer to 480, but that's just because of the FML, it would line up.
split the difference, do 400
Do
again.
400, yeah.
Because people should potentially have vacation
Yeah, to help you out, cover that. too.
unless they're one of those
Yeah,
that,
right.
hey, I gained 4 hours, I'm going to take off. I don't know.
think
But
we-
you also have people with young kids, and they really can't help it. If they get sick, if they have kids that are sick, if both spouses work and somebody's got to take off, you could throw so many random scenarios out
That's
there.
true.
We can't please everybody, so you just have to
Well,
do,
the thing that I'll stick with is, Ernie said this is a living document. Let's pick a number, live with it for a year, see how it works, and if we need to adjust it, we adjust it.
so do you want to start high or low with that?
I won't go above 400. 380. Well, that's what I say, 320 is where I was looking at, but I won't go above 400.
Because once you, in my mind, if you go 400, then most likely you'll never take it higher. But you could go lower, I don't know.
And that's what I'm doing, like you say, it's a tough decision, a big decision, and I just get so tired of us putting Band-Aids on stuff,
Yeah,
instead of just ripping it off and saying, okay,
Yeah,
we do appreciate our employees. We work our butts off trying to help our employees. But it doesn't matter. We have to look out for the county and what's going on and the future.
And we're an outlier as we are. And our employees don't realize that they're outliers. It's just like these couple of employees that have left and come back quickly because of the benefits. Benefits are never considered. They're never given a second thought until you leave and go somewhere else and you have to pay for them. And you're like, oh, I had it pretty good. And then you come back.
I talked to the guy yesterday that I used to work with at the cement plant. His wife works at the school district, so he keeps going with Cobra. And he's paying $900 a month for insurance. Him and his wife.
Yeah.
See, if you go, theoretically, if you go to 240, you go 240, that gets you to 12 weeks, which is close to then putting your FMLA. And I'm gonna ask Nancy, you got kids at home, how many times have you theoretically needed to take a sick day because you got kids at home?
Often. It goes like this, but just last week or the week before, I was in and out of here like 6 times because I had a doctor appointment for one, but then the other one got sick, and then I had to go take her to the doctor. I mean, it was, so yeah. I think I use more sick time on my kids than I have myself.
And that's generally what happens.
When they're in daycare, they can't go to daycare, and I'm the one who has to
Right.
be with them.
We certainly want to be cognizant of that because we do have a lot of young families, so.
It is hard with younger kids.
I just worry that 240, while very conservative, is low.
Yeah.
I mean, it just can go so quick with
And
even
then
if
we're
you
gonna be
have,
dealing with
yeah.
other issues.
then you're gonna have unpaid, and after,
320 hours works out to 40 days. So that would be a month and a half of work time.
you figure, if somebody gets Carrie had her,
Hold on, we're on record.
so, 6 weeks, 4 to 6 weeks. And then to account for maybe a little fun for kids, I don't know. I'm just throw random scenarios at you to make you think harder.
Well, 6 weeks is my 240 hours. So I go 320. Let's try it, see what happens.
Okay.
You there?
And then-
Jason, where you at?
I would go a little bit higher, but I don't know what difference it'll make, really. And when you say it in weeks, it's a long time. Employees are used to hearing the hours that we get, but when you say it in weeks, just like just happened, that's a lot of weeks to be away from work.
So on this, you'll set it at 320, so basically you could take out the 10% and the 50% because that's not going to be applicable anymore, right?
Right.
Yeah.
And then for current employees, you'll reset the limit to 320. So if you're not at 320,
If you're not at
so if you're at
320.
700 and start using it down, your new max will become 320 if you ever get that low. Okay.
Yes.
To accumulate any, you have to be below 320.
For even, okay.
Okay.
So we're going 320 and how much? Sick and vacation, how many hours for each one?
Well, vacation.
We're not touching-
We're not going to touch anything.
Yeah, 240 and 320.
240 and 320.
And then payouts will stay at 100% if you retire
For existing employees,
for existing employees. No payout if you're hired after,
November 1.
November 1st.
okay.
Okay. And then I did have one more piece to this. It's for people that are being layoffs and reduction force. Currently, they're paid out at 50%. I was putting it at 100.
Are you talking vacation or is that?
Sick.
Sick. Vacation is 100%.
So I bumped it up to 100 because we're doing it to them, but I don't.
We have done 3 reduction in forces
Yeah, it's
since I've
rare.
been here. So it's very rare. And the one we did was to 1, possibly 2 employees before you guys got here. It was in indigent when we were reducing staff. It was 1 or 2 employees. 1 found a place and 1 didn't, I think. And I keep looking at you just because it's indigent. And then we had the event center under Guy, and then we just had the cleaning. So
And
those
we
are,
didn't have leave.
When we do a reduction in force, do we do any kind of separation package, or is it just we'll pay out your vacation and stuff?
they have it, yeah.
Yeah.
For me, I'm okay if we do a reduction in force, if we bump that up to 100, because here's your separation package.
That's where I was going with it.
And, you know, if I'm gonna not give you cash payouts going forward on your
It's
sick
their
pay.
choice. It's not their choice, I mean, we're doing it to them.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm okay with that.
Under the holidays, there's that second paragraph that says full-time regular employees who work on the holidays will receive a substitute holiday within 60 days. I don't think that's really necessary, because currently, if we do have anybody that works overtime on a holiday, like at the sheriff's office, that's the only time those guys are guaranteed payment. But we also have the abilities to comp, which is an automatic tracker. So I would prefer to comp it, because if you work the holiday, you're going to get time and a half. So you're not going to be able to switch this day for this day, because it has to be time and a half. And this doesn't say it's time and a half.
No.
But if we put it as comp, then there's no tracking necessary. It's just easier. And then they can take the day whenever workflow allows.
Okay.
And there's really not that many situations, like I said. Most of those individuals that do work the holiday, you're looking at the sheriff and the jail, and that's the one time they get paid, and then maybe juvenile detention. And they potentially may be paid for that too, so.
Because I think this was from the iCrimp template, and I was just thinking it addresses,
Yeah, I don't.
if you have to work on a holiday,
So,
you can just take a different day.
just, they shouldn't be comped at time and a half.
No, they're paid. They'll be paid at overtime. But if you have a holiday, holidays are considered work hours.
Yeah,
So,
and if you work the holiday, you get time and a half. Do you?
yes,
Okay, so they're already compensated for time and a half.
right.
So,
But I'm saying if you use the day a different day, this says if I say I worked next Monday and I decided to trade Columbus Day for a different day, this says I would only get my holiday hours. You wouldn't. You would get holiday hours at time and a half.
I didn't realize that's how we did it. You probably told me.
well, I disagree with that.
That would be a potential of 12 hours off instead of,
Yes, because it's it's comp time. It's time and a half. It has to be. The only way it wouldn't be is if holiday hours are not considered hours.
Holiday hours are 8 hours of paid time.
Right.
That's what holiday hours
But if
are.
I work the holiday and I get the holiday, my hours for that week would be 48 hours. So anything over 40 is overtime, so it would have to be time and a half.
Where would you get 48 hours?
Because I work Monday
Okay,
and I get the holiday hours, and then I work Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. So I had 6 days of work times 8 hours, that's 48 hours.
no, holiday time isn't considered as time worked.
It is in our policy.
If you're not, if you don't work, well, it is for vacation.
Yeah.
All I'm saying is, on that holiday, you should get time and a half pay,
Yes,
plus holiday pay.
right. That's where the time and a half comes in. Yeah.
So, but if you're comping that at another time, then all you're getting is 8 hours.
But we can't do that.
But that's what the holiday pay is.
I think we're saying the same thing.
I think we're going to need to clarify that in here.
I
'cause
think
didn't
if
even
you just take
understand
this
that.
out, we're fine.
Yeah, but if we're going to pay time and a half on a holiday, we're going to want to say that.
It's a given.
If you actually work a holiday,
Yes.
you get your regular pay plus your holiday pay,
Right.
and then a half-time
Yes.
of overtime.
But why wouldn't you put
exactly.
that in policy?
Huh?
Why wouldn't you put that in policy?
just a little
Why
lost.
would you? It's a
I'm
given.
just saying, every place
It's
I've
a
been,
given for you.
So
I didn't even know that, and I've been here a year and a
My
half.
pay is $10, and I go to work on a holiday, I get $10, my normal pay, and if I get overtime, or if I get holiday pay on top of that, it would be on top of my normal $10. What would it be? If my normal pay is 10,
15.
so my holiday pay.
Your holiday pay gives you 20, makes you to go to 20.
Well, he's talking pay. So you get 10 hours at $15, and then you get your 40 hours, or your regular week, or that day
Right.
at 10 hours, or $10.
Okay, I'm not tracking.
Back up again, Jeff.
Yeah, so I don't care about the rest of the week. On Monday.
On Columbus Day.
On Columbus Day, I work 8 hours and I get paid $10 an hour.
Okay,
That's my normal pay.
$80.
Okay, so now it's, because Columbus Day is a holiday, my pay goes to,
15.
okay, I'm tracking that. So instead of getting my $10 an hour that day, I get $15 an hour. Fantastic, I'm following that.
So Monday, you would be paid for 16 hours.
Okay, I'm disagreeing with what you're saying there,
Okay.
because he gets, if he's working,
Uh-huh.
he's getting $80. That's a pay rate. Then he's getting the holiday pay. Another,
Another 8 hours at $15.
So that takes me to $25 an hour.
Okay.
For the day.
No.
that's,
$10?
That's where Ernie, I think.
that's what I'm
You
saying.
get $10 for the first 8 hours, for the holiday hours, or for the hours you work.
You
And then
get-
you get 8 hours at $15 an hour. Wait, let me do this.
Okay, so what I'm saying is, no matter if you work or not, a person gets $80. Okay, that's a holiday.
Okay,
You are compensated for the day's pay,
whether I work or not.
whether you work or not. And then you come to work, and because it is a holiday, every place I've been, we've paid time and a half
So then I get $15
for the holiday, so then you get $120
on top of my.
for working. This is work, and this is holiday.
Okay, so I say, if I work.
$200.
I get $200.
That's the way it's been every place I've been.
Okay, I see what you're doing.
See, what I thought happened was, let's say I come in, I work on Monday, but like I want to flex it, and so I'm going to take Friday off. And so
That's all good.
I'm going to get paid, I'm going to get my holiday pay,
On Friday.
my
And then
hours
you
of
just-
holiday pay on
yeah,
Friday.
And then you just.
And that's what I thought that line was about,
Yeah, no.
was the flexing it
Well, it is, but you have to use it within the same week,
within the same week.
not 60 days.
Okay, so that I can change to clarify.
And that's how most
And I don't-
departments just manage it.
Right.
Because,
Well, I didn't even say within the pay period, right?
no,
Has to be in the week?
has to be within the week. You have to have 40 hours within the week. If you work, not you, if
If that's
Nancy
within the week.
does 32 hours this week and 48 next week, the week of 48, 8 hours is overtime, and she's short 4 hours the week before. So you can't cross, the only time you
So you
can
can
is if
flex
you're
it in-
207K.
So you can flex it in the week, otherwise you just go into this formula.
Yes. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I'm tracking now. I thought holiday pay was the time and a half, so I didn't
Yeah.
understand you get the extra 10 hours on top of that.
Yeah. And that's only if you work it. If you flex it within the same week, you're just 40 hours, it doesn't matter.
Okay.
Okay, I'm tracking now.
But this is where I come back into the conversation of every department choosing 10, 12, 15, whatever hours they want to work in a day, and then they want compensated on the holidays at the same rate.
And I don't know how we adjust for that.
Well, I got a message from Juvenile that says they either make up 2 extra hours during the week, or they figure something else out.
Who is
Take
Juvenile?
Vacation, said.
If their employees work 10s, they get 10 hours. If they're on 8s, they get 8 hours.
Where's that?
It's their shift. And it's just been, it's not documented, so we could document it, that your holiday hours are equivalent to what your shift is.
That's my argument.
10 or 12 hours.
That's my argument. You get the benefit of having these 10-hour shifts, and you get 20 more hours of pay during the year.
The only one I'll argue with you on that is, not that I have a say, but from a payroll perspective is if you are a juvenile detention officer, a jail officer, or a sheriff deputy, you don't have the option of an 8-hour shift because that's how they work their schedule. So you're going to have jail deputies that work 12-hour shifts, but then when the holiday comes around, they're going to be penalized 4 hours.
No.
Because- Well,
They've been granted the extra for years.
their shift is 12 hours, and if you only give them 8, or if you do a sheriff's deputy who works 10s, and they're only getting 8, then they're going to be working 78 hours. How do they pick up 2 hours?
That's a taking, something like that.
Yeah, and actually, I mean, that's kind of an argument, and it's kind of not, because if their holiday is there, they're working it anyways. So those people will be working 10 hours, and then they'll get 8 hours of the side. So I don't know.
I don't know how to manage it
Yeah.
differently either.
Yeah, I
Either technical.
You're not wrong, and you're not wrong.
Right, my wife worked out at Farmers. She worked 4 10s. Every holiday, she had to work 5 8s.
And that's easy enough to do. So I would just like to see the law enforcement that are on mandatory shifts, leave them. But then anybody that's voluntary 410s on a 5-day work week for an office, maybe that's how you do it.
Those, you know what's funny is those are the departments that are most understaffed are the ones that work those shifts. Maybe that's their bonus.
But if your office is a 5-day a week, you get 8 hours. That's how you could do it. But then, no, you can't, because the sheriff's office,
Yeah.
they ran 410s,
Tricky.
so that would exclude them.
It may have to be just a department level management thing to address that.
No.
I don't know.
No. I'm just telling you, no.
I don't know how to do it.
The only thing if you don't agree with me, then it doesn't matter, but if you agreed with me, then it would be excluding.
Well, all I'm saying is, these guys want to come in and they want to complain about on-call, they want to complain about this and that. They don't want to look at all the benefits
Yep, this is
that
what
they
the
get.
benefits.
I mean, there's compensations that come, and that's why I tell you that
Sure.
it doesn't matter what we do. If somebody gets told no on something or changes, then we're the bad guys.
Yeah.
And I'm okay with that, but that's why we make the decisions too.
Yeah.
Let me think on those on the sheriff and jail and talk to Tony. Because
Yeah, let's-
actually, the more, when I said that out loud, I kind of,
Well, and see, it's just like that compensation. I asked them to come back with ideas and stuff. Ever since then, Seth's the only one's come back with anything.
Crickets.
Nobody else is thinking about it, you know, because they don't want to talk about that part, but they want to talk about the compensation for on-call. But none of them come back and said anything about on-call until Ryan called another meeting. I was canceling our meeting because nobody wants to do anything. They want to bring things up, but they don't want to spend the time to come up with solutions.
the only other thing I have was on page 37, transfer benefits when an employee transfers departments. If you want to put in here, comp is paid. We pay out comp when you move between departments.
Okay.
Only because
They're
when you
one-
move from the clerk's
Yeah.
office, we're not going to obligate a different department.
Good catch. Yep. Okay. And I know we've gone quite a while. There's a couple things that Josh had recommended that I forgot to get in there too, that I just wanted to share. So, chapter 3, it's going to be page, hang on.
6.
Yeah.
Did you say 36 or did you say 6?
Oh, sorry, yeah, chapter 3, page 6. And actually, it's on page 7. This prohibited conduct. if you remember, our current policy has 37 or 38 items listed, and this narrows it down to 17, which I think is great. But I think, after looking at it with Josh, I do have a couple things I want to add that would address insubordination, or there's like 3 or 4 things, like insubordination, purposely damaging equipment or property, and there was one similar to that, sabotage of some sort. So I wanted to add 3 more to there, I just didn't by the time the agenda went out.
Sabotage of,
Other people's work, or, something like that,
that's a good one.
yeah.
I saw that happen this week.
Did you?
Sabotage of another person's work, trying to sabotage someone.
Yeah,
So that's an important one.
so, yeah, Josh put that input in, I thought was good. And then the last comment I had is I was thinking about kind of long-term. It would be, in my mind, it would be nice to have, rather than the saying personnel policy, having a Bannock County policy and have like the HR section, the IT section, the business section, and so it's one. And part of, I haven't done it in this version because it's going to take some talk and work, but I did find a couple separate policies like social media, vehicle use, safety, all those that have been standalone policies that have been kind of in a list on my website. I threw all those into here too as their own chapters. But I'm thinking eventually it might be nice to just have a Bannock County policy that's got all. So I seen others do that successfully, and then the different departments in charge of would be in charge of their areas, or getting updates recommended for their areas. So, just a thought for the future. So,
Okay. Well, still got a little more to do on this then.
yeah.
Good discussion.
Yeah,
Good discussion.
we needed to get through that. I think I could update those relatively quickly. We'll need to look at the holiday stuff closely. But the other changes sound pretty simple. I could probably have this back to you in a couple of weeks for approval. I was hoping to line it up with October 1, but I just,
Well, if we could do it before the end of November, so we could have that November 1st date on there and do it on the week.
Before the end of October, you mean?
Yeah, excuse me, before the end of October.
okay. Get it close to the fiscal year at least.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like even next Friday, because I think we'll have Tubby here next Friday, won't we?
Oh, yeah, supposed to.
So I can,
That's our next meeting, is
Yeah.
next Friday.
okay. Thank
Okay.
you for your time on that.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you. All right. Now we have a signature, ICRIP.
Mr. Chairman, I would like to make a motion that we nominate you to be on the ICRIP District 5 Board of Trustees and authorize signature.
We have a motion, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Commissioner on. Yes. Should I sign that or have you sign that?
I'm more than happy to sign
Why
it.
don't you go ahead and sign it? Nominate me.
Say the 9th? No,
Just
6th.
You missed your flight.
I did.
Today?
Yeah. No, he says it's the 9th, and I said, no.
Oh, okay.
He's got a flight on Saturday. If it's the 9th, he missed his flight.
Okay.
All right, next we have signature on the land use agreement. This is, I don't know, how many times it's come before us?
You signed it. Mr. Chair, I make a motion that we approve and authorize signature on the land use agreement with the BLM.
Got a motion, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Next, we have Resolution 2022-82, fiscal year 22 budget adjust funds.
Thank you for giving that on.
Mr. Chair, make a motion that we approve resolution number 2022-82.
The motion, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
With that being said,